at your parties and receptions? Look no further than Pizza Street UK. Find us on Facebook or on Twitter at Pizza Street UK.
Your sound of Selhurst, live from Selhurst Park on palaceradio.co.uk, the Eagles RBS app and Palace Player. This is Palace Radio.
You're on Palace Radio. Here's your chance to get involved with the game, and you tell us exactly how you felt today went. Give us a tweet on @Palace Radio, or you can give us a text on 079 100 60 919. That number again for calling us in, 0208 653 5796. I'm joined this evening by Chris Dixon.
Chris Dixon, indeed. Hi.
Chris Dixon, how are you?
Not too bad. Not particularly entertained by that one. That was a pretty much dull 90 minutes of football. Much Palace offering, not all that much either. A stalemate on a night where we thought there might just be a bigger occasion to the evening, I think. It
did peter out there, didn't it? Alan Pardew's first big game back against Newcastle, and sort of petered out in a draw. Was it the type of game you were expecting, or were you expecting something a bit more dramatic?
Well, it could have gone either way, couldn't it? I know that sounds cliche, but I've got to be honest, I was expecting a few more fireworks from the game this evening. And I think it was let down on Palace's side by the early injury to Sanogo.
That's the point I want to come to, because he obviously brought Fraser Campbell on at that point, and a lot of people, especially around me, I won't name names, but
feel free. Name Chris Dixon. I'm quite happy to say I was disappointed with Campbell coming on, but he's scored the goal.
Why? I want to know why. What is it with Fraser Campbell that people don't take to?
It's not Fraser Campbell that I'm actually complaining about. It's that we set up to play a certain way, and we've got Sanogo's height in there and hold up play. So you're looking at basically him playing a sort of a traditional centre forwards role, coming a bit deeper, receiving the ball, holding it up, spreading it wide, which is what I see Fraser Campbell not doing quite so effectively. Sanogo's not going to chase you much forward, but when you bring Campbell on, I would expect more effort, more pressure on the ball going forward towards the keeper, and tonight he didn't really do that until he actually got his goal. But for me, when you take Sanogo off, rather than bring Campbell on to replace Sanogo, you change the game, you change the tactics, possibly bring on someone like Gale and go with a front three and Shamak in behind or something like that, rather than just doing a like-for-like swap, because I don't believe that Campbell can play a same or similar role to Yaya Sanogo.
What about Glenn Murray sitting on that bench there?
Exactly.
Is he not more of the like-for-like substitution that you're looking for?
He would be for me. If you were going to play the same way, you would bring on Murray for Sanogo instead of Campbell. Offers you more in the way of hold-up play, difficult to see it because we haven't seen all that much of a goal threat from him since obviously his injury when he was still a Championship player. But he has been scoring goals elsewhere. He's come back fit. So yeah, I would say maybe Glenn Murray would have been my choice on substitution on that one.
My big question for tonight then, Chris: can we now consider Crystal Palace a mid-table Premier League team? Can we consider ourselves mid-table fodder, or am I getting ahead of myself?
I mean, we've earned a point tonight. It's taken us level with Everton, who you would say at the moment are a mid-table side, rather than one that are about to be drawn down into the relegation scrap.
The way I see it is, do you still fear relegation this season?
I was thinking that actually in the first half, and I was looking at it thinking, we've got enough, haven't we? We've got enough. We
certainly have enough.
Yeah. Do I fear relegation? At the moment, I've got to say it, no, I don't.
So, there we are. Chris Dixon there, confirming that Crystal Palace are a mid-table team.
Touching all of the wood as well. But I don't fear relegation, but it's a strange one, isn't it? That transition zone between relegation scrap and mid-table. At the moment, the bottom half of the mid-table, or the bottom half, the bottom of the mid-table, we're definitely at that. We've got, is that 5 points now between us and 18th place?
I think relegation is 7 points.
7 points us.
Is it 5? I was being confirmed 5.
5 points. So, yeah. Let's see if we can make that gap that little bit more. If it's after the next 2 games, if it's 7 points, then I reckon we're looking at saying, yeah, all right, we're a mid-table side.
Okay, January window's been and gone. We signed players, but also 2 players we're getting back. Mile Jedinak, Yannick Bolasie. Bolasie was one of them that came on. an assist straight away.
Made the difference, didn't he? That ball in for Campbell was absolutely cracking, and he put in a second one about 5 minutes later, and it had, that dip and that swerve, and it was a cracking little ball, and we were unlucky not to get something on the end of that second cross as well. But he did make the instant difference. Now, Alex, both of us seem to sort of agree a little bit on Balassi, I believe. Or no, or maybe we don't actually. Maybe I'll say it and you'll argue with me for the sake of it.
Go on,
but
get at me, go on.
Yeah, people say that you don't know what Yala's going to do and that he doesn't know what he's going to do. But today, when he came on, he was strong, powerful, ran with it, and his final product was there. Now, what we don't like from Yala, or that disappoints us for Yala, is that final ball. Too many times when he's on the other side of the pitch, on the left-hand side, he delivers that ball into the box, misses everyone. Or he cuts inside and tries to have that shot and Rose heads it. Too many times.
I think that's the problem, isn't it? At this level, I've always said it, all along, that Balassi's maybe had 3 or 4 outstanding games this season.
Mm-hmm.
But for the rest, when he's not on form, he's really a player that you feel sort of going against you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 1-0 down and he's not making a cross and that shot's going for a throw-on, that's when you feel he's against you.
But when he went away from the Africa Cup of Nations, he was on an upward curve of form, and he's gone into that, and the Dr. Congo have got to the semi-finals, haven't they? And he's played the full tournament there. And he comes back from having a useful tournament there. The confidence will be high, and he's made an impact when he's played today as well. If he can stay on that kind of form, why not?
So I'm going to put you in the shoes of Alan Pardew. How do you fit Yannick Balassi in this team? Because Wilf, last couple of weeks, I thought he was outstanding today. I thought defensively, Wilf has been fantastic. There's obviously that's not your primarily need for your winger, but today and against Leicester, he was brilliant defensively.
His defending in the first third and his tracking back was pretty
second to none,
damn
and that's
good.
got to be a Pardew influence.
Yeah.
So how do you take him out of the team? Can you for Balassi?
No, you can't.
What about Jason Puncheon, a man that has been, again, like Yannick, in and out of form, especially under Warnock, really struggled. Things weren't right for him, obviously.
Yeah, but you know what Puncheon brings you, don't you?
Goal
Threat.
And he could not touch the ball for 85 minutes.
No.
Drop his shoulder and put it in the back of the net.
Exactly.
And that's the difference for me in this division. So, what do you do?
Well, you keep him on the bench, and you bring him on with 20 minutes to go when you're 1-0 down. It is a difficult one, more so now that because he's been away from the club and Puncheon's form and Zaha's form has been so good in Balassi's absence, but it's a damn good problem to have, isn't it?
I'm gonna give you another problem just to make your night even harder.
Where does Yedinak go now?
Yeah, how did you know?
Yeah.
How did you know? Who do you take out of that midfield? Because I know a lot of people are big fans of James McArthur.
Yeah.
And I think he's done a sterling job since he's been here. But does James McArthur offer enough at this level? And I said it today, and it does sound harsh, but it's a glorified Stuart O'Keefe. He's a better player, but what does he? What does he bring you? What does he create? And as much as I like him, I like him because
and he's fit as well. He's very fit.
He's
James
an engine.
McCarthy.
He's an engine. He works
McArthur.
hard. He puts a tackle in. But at this level, is he going to be the difference between you winning and losing a game from midfield?
Well, look, I tell you what, I mean, you could throw this question to me, but someone who's been watching him also all game is Daryl Murdoch. I mean, Daryl, what do you reckon to James? We've got to get Mile Jedinak back in that side, or have we? I mean, would he have made a difference this evening? We've just heard there that, who do you drop to get him in? We're thinking possibly James McArthur.
Yeah, cheers, Chris. I mean, Alex knows I'm a big fan of McArthur, but someone has to go. Jedinak comes back in, and that's a given. Someone has to go. Do you lose Joe Ledley's goals? Probably scores more goals than James McArthur. But I think that, for me, McArthur influences the game more. That's my opinion from watching him from the gantry. So it is a tough one, but it's good to have these sort of tough decisions rather than who's the rubbishest out of someone. We're going for who's the best. So it's good.
Exactly.
I think the argument is that Joe Ledley has slotted into that position that Jedinak occupies. I think he's stood up and taken responsibility a lot of the time. He has sat in front of that back four. He has commanded. He's kept things organised when McArthur's sort of off running, chasing things down. And that's not a criticism of McArthur. It's me saying that I believe that the way that Crystal Palace is suited, we're structured, we're disciplined, and for me, Joe Ledley gives you more of that than James McArthur perhaps does.
Yeah, perhaps you're right, Alex. I think, it's one of those ones where, as I said, it's great to have these sort of selection dilemmas and problems, but I just think James McArthur, there's more to his game than what he's showing at the moment. He's playing very well, but I think he's got a little bit more sometimes than Joe Ledley. Joe Ledley's probably a more versatile player, perhaps. We saw towards the end he slotted into a fullback role quite nicely. For me, Joe doesn't quite do as much as McArthur in the game.
He's not as dynamic as
he hasn't
a player,
got the
is he?
engine that McArthur's got, for me. But as I said, it's great to have these sort of selection problems, and that's why Alan Pardew is here. That's why he came to this club, because he could see the potential we've got in this squad and the competition for places.
We need the pro zone stats, don't we?
Yeah, I've got them in my pocket here, Chris. No, sorry, I haven't, but I'm sure. Stats. Do managers look at these stats? I don't know whether Alan Pardew's a massive fan of stats, because stats can only... No one's ever won a game of football with a sheet of stats. People win games of football with character, with heart and with ability. Just because someone runs 8.2 kilometres doesn't mean that he's a better player than someone who runs 7.1 kilometres or something like that. It's about scoring goals. Joe Ledley scored more goals than James McArthur this year. He scored some important
just
goals.
The one that McArthur scored, that looping header against Stoke.
That's
We
exactly
won't mention
right.
the one against Manchester City.
No, that one didn't count.
Yeah.
And that was wrongly disallowed. We had one rightly disallowed today, but yeah, that was a really good header. But I just think, my opinion is McArthur offers a little bit more than Ledley, but either or for me. Jedinak back in with one of them. Maybe you can have one of them playing absolutely out of their skin and giving it the full beans for 65 minutes, and then change it and bring someone on fresh in there to make late runs into the box. And it doesn't always have to be your wingers that are coming on and influencing the game. Maybe you can bring on a player like a Joe Ledley or a James McArthur, whichever's left out, and get them making forward runs into the box. I don't know, but it's a great problem to have.
So there you go. Answer the question that I just gave to Chris. How do you get Jedinak and Balassi in that team? Or what do you do? Give me that 11. Give me that midfield.
We were all so scared, weren't we, when Neil Warnock was here after the Southampton game?
When Neil Warnock was here, yes.
Well, yeah,
correct.
just generally when Neil Warnock was here.
Everyone was pretty much on edge.
It got worse, though, because it looked like Neil Warnock was still here, which was scary enough, as you just said. And then Jedinak and Balassi, the only two players really that were doing anything, were going to bugger off to the other side of the world in different directions to play for their countries, which they've obviously got the right to do. What in the hell were we going to do? Thankfully, a change was made, and then a change was made in the way the team played. Other players, like you said about Joe Ledley, they stepped up. Jason Punchin stepped up. Wilfred Zaha stepped up, maybe to a lesser extent than Punch. But we've had this conversation all season, Alex, on this show about the three wingers, the Zaha, the Balassi, the Punchin problem. You can only play two wingers in most teams, How do you play those three? I don't know. But I think that in midfield, I think Jedinak comes back in with one of those two. I don't have all the answers. I just tell you what happens in the field.
And of course, Dwight Gale has come in and fulfilled a role for a couple of games that, when Balassi left and we had injuries elsewhere as well. Gale came in and did astonishingly
What a
well.
nice problem, though.
He did, but I don't want to see him on the wing, Chris. Sorry,
Not necessarily, but he was playing on that left-hand side, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I remember sitting here in December, Daryl, and saying to you, what do we need in the market? And I said, we need a winger.
Yep.
We need a winger because we've got three good wingers.
We need a better one.
But none of them can kick a ball at the moment. And look at them now. We can't pick.
They must have been listening to you, mate, because they've all stepped up, haven't they? And Balassi was doing all the tricks, but today he had end product, didn't he? I know he was only on for a little while, but he put in two brilliant crosses. The one for the goal, one of his best. Everyone talks about the cross he put in for Zaha's header at the Amex. That'll always probably go down as his most famous cross because of the game and who it was against. But that one today was up there. And, a player with that ability, you've got to have him in your starting lineup, in my opinion.
And strength and power.
What about another contender for central midfield today? Jason Punchin, out and out Steven Gerrard in there. Anyone else picking that up?
He was doing what he wanted, wasn't he, in the midfield there?
The show.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Me and Amy said, like, when Balassi come on, we were like, right, so what's going to happen here? The three wingers on the pitch, does it work? But Punch just slotted in quite nicely, didn't he? Spraying balls around, winning the ball as well. It was a lovely little piece where I think he went round Goofrand as if he wasn't there in the second half there. And yeah, a player that he's quite clearly got the ability, and when he's given the space in midfield, he can do a great job in there. I'm not sure he can do the tackle inside of the game, but when you've got Jedinak next to you, do you need to?
Jason Punchin, a.k.a. Paul Scholes.
So we'll drop Joe Ledley.
Yeah,
and
let's drop them all.
McArthur, and have a midfield of Jedinak, Puncheon and Guediora. Go with that.
You sound a bit like Neil Warnock, Chris, because he liked to play players out of position, didn't he? Yeah, cheers for that. You just kicked me under the table. But it is, I keep saying it, but it is a brilliant problem for Alan Pardew to have, and it's brilliant for us on Palace Radio to be talking about it and talking about Palace so positively, rather than we're going to get relegated, he's rubbish, and he's terrible, he's a bad signing. We're talking about players who are playing really, really well. Two of our players, one's gone off and won the Asian Cup, the other one's taken a lesser nation in Congo DR to third place in the African Cup of Nations. Brilliant for Palace.
Good times. Thank you very much, Darryl. Tip-top commentary as ever.
Thanks very much, mate.
There were some other games tonight, including Chelsea and Everton. I'm going to go to Chris Humphreys. I think he's going to give us a debrief on the results of tonight.
Yes, good evening, Alex. Let's have a look at the other scores around the Barclays Premier League. As you say, the game at Stamford Bridge between Chelsea and Everton didn't quite go how many of us expected, because with 2 minutes left on the clock, Everton was still holding on to a goalless draw. Chelsea had a goal disallowed, and in the melee over that, Gareth Barry got a second yellow card, and 1 minute later, Willian scores a deflected goal. Chelsea beat Everton by 1-0. Possibly a bit controversial with the Barry red card, and was quite sure what it was for. We then have Man United taking on Burnley at Old Trafford. A brace by Chris Smalling. That's a brace by Chris Smalling in the first half. Danny Ings got the goal for Burnley, getting him level for most of the first half, and then Robin van Persie sealed it with a late penalty in the last 10 minutes. Down at St Mary's, a bit of a stalemate on the south coast. Southampton and West Ham finishing goalless. Adrian, the West Ham goalkeeper, was sent off in this game though. Stoke losing 4-1 at home to Manchester City. Aguero putting the citizens ahead. Crouch making it level at half-time before goals from Aguero, a penalty, Milner, Aguero, a penalty, and then Nasri made it 4-1 to Manchester City. And down at the Hawthorns, it's West Brom 2, Swansea 0. Goals from Browner Day, another one for him, and Saido Berahino getting one late on. So good win for Tony Pulis' West Brom, who are now still just a point below us in the table now. 26 for them, of course, 27 for us. We're only below Everton by 4 goals now, Alex.
Not too bad. I think we've got a caller on the line. Nathan from Beckenham, good evening.
Lose all 3 signals.
Nathan? Are you there?
Hello there.
Nathan, good evening.
Good evening.
You're on Palace Radio. Give us your thoughts today. What do you reckon?
Well, I thought it went pretty well, to be fair. It wasn't too bad to get away with a point, but, well, it's pretty similar to Everton, really. Felt a bit robbed of the 3.
So,
considering Scott Dan wasn't there, core of the team, it wasn't too bad to get away with a point.
I'm going to talk about that starting 11. Dwight Gale dropped. Thoughts?
Sorry, say that again?
Dwight Gale got dropped, rightly or wrongly?
Well, yeah, I thought quite strongly against that, to be fair. He's the best finisher in the side, isn't he, without a doubt, to be honest. And I wasn't too pleased he didn't come on when Sonogo got injured, because I thought, well, despite Campbell scoring the goal, he wasn't the best apart from that. But to be fair to him, he did get the goal.
Well, he's come on. He's had one disallowed. He's held the ball up reasonably well. Dwight Gale for Sonogo there, is that a like-for-like change? I think certainly Fraser Campbell's a closer like-for-like change. But you mentioned Scott Dan there. Scott Dan missing. Palace is probably leader at the back, really. He's been fantastic this year. Now we've got a problem. Hangeland's come in and played remarkably well. Do you drop Hangeland? Do you drop Delaney? Does Scott Dan get back in? Does Martin Kelly come across when we play Soiree there? What do you do?
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think Hangeland's been a bit stronger than Delaney, to be fair. Delaney was obviously at fault for today's goal and at Everton. Hangeland surprised me, to be fair, and has come and done quite well, because I thought he was quite shaky at the start of the year. But I think Scott Dan's got to come back in. I'd say he's Palace's most valuable player. So, Kelly, ideally he'd have a left footer playing at left back there, but he's not doing too badly considering.
So, the debate we've had tonight, Balassi's back, Jedinak's back, you're Alan Pardew, make the call. What do you do and how do you do it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I personally think Puncheon's been a bit weak over the past few games, but he does produce bits of magic here and there, so it's a tough call. Do you drop him or keep him? Balassi obviously was a bit of class today and managed to get us the point with that great ball in. But I think you've got to bring Jedinak back in. MacArthur's been superb, so I think Ledley perhaps might miss out, or
how can you drop Joe Ledley?
Left back even.
How can you drop him?
Sorry?
How can you drop Joe Ledley?
Well, that's the thing. Well, I think Jednik's got to come back in though, isn't he? Captain, leader, does a great job. But maybe you make room for him. You put him in at left back, something like that.
You play one of your best central midfielders at left back. Can you do that?
To be fair, I think Jednik's invaluable. I don't think you can, once he's back and fully fit, I don't think you can keep leaving him out. But I think it's nice to have that sort of competition. It's a sign of a team doing well, and on the up.
Final question for you now. This will either make or break Daryl Murdoch's evening. James MacArthur or Joe Ledley, which one are you going to pick?
Well, I'm going to have to go James MacArthur. He works a bit harder
You've
for me.
just made Daryl Murdoch sick. The smile on his face. Thank you very much for the call, Nathan.
Okay, no problem at all.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.
So, Nathan alluded to there. Hangeland coming in for Delaney. What's your thoughts? Would that be the long term? Because he's come in and done brilliantly the last 2 games, and has he proven that Delaney at fault again today for a goal, Everton at home at fault for the goal? Is it time to make that change? But can you make that change now? Can you make that change this far in this season when you've built a partnership in Scott Dan and Damien Delaney?
Call and tell us now. 0208 653 5796. We want to hear from you. Yes, Dan and Delaney do have that long-term relationship they built up over last season. Hangeland hasn't had the best of starts, but he came in against Leicester absolutely spot on. He's played very, very well this evening, and he hasn't been at fault. Delaney's had a couple of slip-ups. He's lost his man at near post today. Maybe it is time
I'm going to put you in Pardew's shoes again. Do it. Come on. Yes or no?
Yeah, Hangeland. At the moment, Hangeland for me.
Okay.
Instead of Delaney.
Perfect. I tend to agree. I think most fans at the moment would agree as well. Remember, give us a call 0208 653 5796. Your chance to get on Palace Radio. Tell us what you think.
Get in touch with us now. Tweet @Palace Radio. Email studio@palaceradio.co.uk. Text 079 100 60 919 or call 020 8653 5796. This is Palace Radio.
Want delicious Napoli-style pizzas made fresh from local ingredients in our own wood fire oven at your parties and receptions? Look no further than Pizza Street UK. Find us on Facebook or on Twitter @Pizza Street UK.
Download all our best interviews now from palaceradio.co.uk or just search for Palace Radio in the iTunes Store and press subscribe.
Having a party or corporate function? Give Essential Entertainment a call now. We've been tailoring your events to exactly how you want them for the past 30 years with our mobile DJs, fun casinos and portable dance floors. Whether it's a birthday party for a loved one or a big company event, make it both memorable and stress-free with Essential Entertainment's prompt, polite and professional service. For more information, call us 020 84 62 62 6 or visit essentialentertainment.com.
Your sound of Selhurst, live from Selhurst Park on palaceradio.co.uk, the Eagles RBS app and Palace Player. This is Palace Radio.
We've got Pardew quotes coming up very, very shortly. They'll come from Chris Humphreys in our social media hub. If you do want to get in touch, you can tweet, and Chris will read out your tweet. You'll be famous for more than 5 minutes. We're going to talk very, very quickly to Simon Lewis, Palace from the Press presenter. Simon, give me your thoughts on today. Just break it down, simple.
I think there's just one thing that sort of frustrated me tonight was that we got the ball at the back, and rather than building slowly and building, patiently, there are a lot of long balls, long raking cross-field balls. We're almost going for the champagne pass, when in fact, when we got success, when we really got at Newcastle, it was with short, compact passing, and it was just a lot of wasted balls and a lot of wasted possession, in my opinion. And you see Hangeland tried a couple, and that was his only black spot on what was otherwise a fantastic performance from him. I thought just a few too many from Martin Kelly as well. Just you want us to build patiently rather than looping the ball up with hardly any hope that any of our strikers will get on the end of them.
And Newcastle didn't exactly put much threat or pressure on the ball, did they? I don't think we were necessarily under that much pressure to play that way.
No, exactly. It almost seemed like it was a premeditated thought in our back four to get the ball, look up and then try and ping a, what
Where's
would
Sonogo?
what would be a fantastic pass if it came off. But many of them are going out for throw-ins or just being easily picked off by the Newcastle midfield and defenders, and you sort of sit there and go, well, if it doesn't work the first couple of times, why aren't we changing our mind? And if you're under pressure and you have to hoof the ball up the pitch, fair play, but it was just under no pressure and it just wasted a lot of possession for me.
Big point today was Dwight Gale getting dropped from this weekend's squad. What do you think of that? Because you've got your top goal scorer there. For me, you make your team around your top goal scorer, your man that's going to make the difference for you. But you can't play him out left midfield, and you can't. Can you play him and Shamak at times this season and last? It showed probably not. How do you fit Dwight Gale in this starting 11?
I mean, I'm always someone who prefers to see Dwight Gale in the starting lineup, and I think him and Shamak. It's not clicked for the last couple of games, but I think they do have an understanding between them, and I like sort of seeing Shamak behind Gale because he's the kind of person who can get the ball down from his chest and play those little balls through the defence that Dwight Gale thrives on. And I mean, I don't blame Pardew for playing Sonogo. I mean, he's trying to. I think after Sonogo got his goal in the FA Cup, I think he's wanting to give him a run of games to try and get his confidence up and try and give him that grounding to get him started here at the club. But as you said, Dwight Gale's our top goal scorer, and I always prefer us with him in the lineup. And I think to get at Colaccini and Williamson at the centre of Newcastle's defence, I wanted a bit of pace and that direct play that I think Dwight Gale would have brought. But as when Sonogo went off, I think like for like was the safe choice, really.
Another big sort of debate we've had tonight is the Hangeland, Delaney, Scott Dan, Martin Kelly debate. What's your stance on that? I
mean, for me, Scott Dan will always come back in, and I think Hangeland, his game today, I will hold my hands up, and I think earlier in the season I was critical of Hangeland. I think he made a few too many errors, but Delaney's never one who's completely filled me with confidence. So on today's performance, I don't say he could drop Hangeland. I think he was commanding, and he showed a very calm head when he did get the ball at his feet, prior to then pinging the ball cross field and out for throw-ins. But I think he won a lot of headers, and he was a towering presence in our defence, and I'd keep him aside. Yeah, we got a text here from John in Cambridge who says that Hangeland, definitely complete Premier League player, starts over Delaney all the time. We've also got another text here from John in Winchester. It says 5 subs, 2 injuries, and wasting time, 3 minutes added. Shocking.
Yeah, only 3 minutes of time added on from 5 subs and 2 inches that is quite bizarre. You call that 4 or 5 minutes all day long, wouldn't you?
Yeah, if you want to get involved, remember to give us a text on 079 100 60 919. Papa Soiree, Chris, work permit troubles.
Yep. So I mean, obviously he wasn't in line to play tonight. He is in line, obviously, to play in the FA Cup match at Liverpool against Liverpool. I mean, an interesting opportunity for him to show us what he's got.
Well, it might be quite a nice game for him to come back into. Really, the pressure in the FA Cup is smaller than the Premier League. Realistically, the glory of the FA Cup quite isn't there as it was once. But again, I think Martin Kelly's done well at left back. I don't think.
He's done well for a player who is not a left back,
Absolutely,
who doesn't have a left foot. Definitely.
But do you drop him based on decent performances?
Well, we bought a left back, so I mean, if
we bought one in the summer.
Yeah,
forgot his boots, but we did buy one.
Zeki Friars, interesting.
Is he having a work permit problem? Because I haven't seen him yet.
Well, he hasn't done much work, has he? I don't know if it's a permission problem or simply because he. Let's not be harsh. Anyway, yeah. So, look, it's an interesting time to give Pap Suara an opportunity to play. Have a look at him. He's obviously been training at the club. He can't play yet because he doesn't have the permit. But, if you've got a specialist left back and he's up to task and you can see that in training and he can prove it this weekend, then I would say yes.
Excellent. On the right back. Yes.
And he can score a mean header as well.
I've seen those on YouTube, actually. Yeah. You should tune in and have a look at those.
Go and have a look at those. If you want to see what Pap Suara can do, he finds space in the box pretty readily, it would seem. Maybe in French football you get more of that.
Well, I did
more
read
space in the box in France.
I did read some interesting things that Papa Suara is very good going forward, but a little bit suspect defensively. So that is just that is what we're looking for, a defender that cannot defend and good going forward. Welcome to the Premier League and Crystal Palace. This is what we do.
Maybe maybe he could get himself online with that, for that left wing berth, perhaps make it even more difficult for us to pick.
Oh yeah. What about on the other side? We've got Joel Ward, who last season at right back and even at left back proved that potentially he was on the verge of an England call, and his contract's up in the summer. We've really got to work hard at getting that done, haven't we?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, we want continuity at this club, and Joe Ward is a Premier League class fullback. They're difficult to hold. Age isn't against him either. Was he 28, Joel Ward?
No, he's about 24 actually.
24?
Yeah, he's young.
Contract. Get him, sign him straight up. Sign absolutely. We want that player at this club for a long, long time. Get that contract sorted. You might well see his best form return.
Well, I think the chances of him signing is a lot stronger now. We're obviously in a much stronger position.
Yep.
If we can stay in the league, he's playing in position. I think there was a point at the start of the season where I thought if I were him, I wouldn't even sign. Why would you? We're playing under Neil Warnock. We're shocking. And I'm playing at left back. Simon Lewis, will he sign a new deal?
As Chris said, it's those are the kind of players that are they're difficult to tie down because they are proven. He's proven he's good enough for this league, and there'll be teams higher up the division looking at him. But I think we've got a decent sell to him now. If we can maintain our mid-table level as we are at the moment, and prove to him that we're going to be looking to push up the league, why wouldn't he sign? He's first choice here. People like Nathaniel Klein have shown at Southampton that if you stay at the right club, things can happen. Why not? I think we've got a decent sell at this club at this time. We've put in some money in the January transfer window. If we say to him, look, we're going to build a good side here. We're proven mid-table team now. Come on, we'll take you into the England team. Why? We've got a decent sell at the moment, I think.
And Jordan Much was on the bench today and didn't get on. Chris Dixon, I don't know how much you've seen of Jordan Much, but I don't think he's been impressing us.
Not altogether a lot.
Much.
He hasn't yet. But then he hadn't been playing at QPR. I've had a chat with a few different sort of people I chat about football with, and he did pretty well at Cardiff last season in a relegated side, didn't he? He contributed a goal threat. He's a very good technical player. But he doesn't seem to have that yard of pace, does he?
Does that come with playing football, though?
I'm not so sure it does.
What about this weekend, then? Because we've got Liverpool. Is this an opportunity to play, if Papa Suarez got his work permit, him in there, Jordan Much, these players that perhaps haven't sort of got...
Hang
remain
on a minute.
Keeping a strong side, but would you try and get them in, or would you keep it the same?
Well, I want to win this cup tie.
Yeah, I'm saying keep a strong squad, but could you get Papa Suarez in there, Jordan Much in there,
I suppose if Pardew thinks that he can risk putting, just throwing Jordan Much straight into it, as he did against Everton and against Leicester, then, who am I to call Pardew out on that? But on his performances, even though it's a cup game on Saturday, I don't think he deserves to be included in that starting 11, certainly. He was on the bench tonight, he wasn't used. Yopr is back. Yopr was the game changer this evening. I haven't seen enough of Jordan Much to be able to understand what he would bring to change things and the current form he's on. And I mean, did we pay what we're reported to have paid for him up front to QPR? It's like £4.5 million,
pounds, supposedly.
I can't see that we've bought the same player that QPR bought at the beginning of this season.
So do you sort of not understand the signing, or do you understand where the signing came from, but you just sort of...
I haven't seen enough of him. I haven't seen enough of him to make that call, and I don't see what position he falls into in the side.
See, for me, I as soon as it happened, I thought, that's good, because he is a natural number 10. He's a very modern styled footballer that I don't believe we have a natural number 10 bar Maran Shamak in this team. And when you're playing at home and Shamak's injured, you need a number 10. And I'm sorry, James McArthur doesn't, he's not a number 10.
James McArthur
100%.
is not a number 10. I mean, he does have the dynamic to get forward from midfield, and he does offer a little bit more goal threat, even though in my opinion, even though he hasn't actually had the same results as Joe Ledley goal-wise. But I think we're talking about 1 goal versus 2, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right. So, time will tell over the whole season about effectiveness. But, yeah, I mean, if you want a second hole player, maybe Jordan Much is your man over, say, Glenn Murray.
Okay, fair enough. Chris Humphrey's in our social media hub. He's going to give us the tweets.
And before that, I think we're going to have some text. So, Balassi was the game changer today, according to Ned Moriarty. It's difficult to argue with that, is it? He came on, he provided some entertainment, he provided a cross, and we got a goal from it, and he had a bit of strength. I mean,
just the energy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was the energy to the game.
I'd almost like to have seen more of him today, in the 20 minutes that he had on, certainly. And we also have a text from Stephen Beckenham. I definitely agree with Daryl. MacArthur is the man to partner Jedinak.
How much have you paid this man, Daryl? Come on.
I haven't paid him. I can assure you. I mean, I think that a lot of people have got good time for James MacArthur.
I've got a lot of time for him. He's got a great engine.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
He's got a great engine and he works
between
hard.
Ledley. Someone on Twitter, I think it's Miss Nikki, is her Twitter handle, said that the reason she'd picked MacArthur is she doesn't like Ledley's beard, and she's probably the only human alive that doesn't like Ledley's beard.
Block.
What do you block?
Twitter block.
Chris has got the rest of the tweets though.
Now, firstly comes from Michaela regarding the back four situation. She says Hangeland deserves the opportunity, and obviously McJedley's possibly not going to be a thing anymore because it's unlikely that all three are going to get in the team. So instead of McJedley, how about Dangaland? Dangaland, you feeling that, Alex? No?
It's worse than McJedley.
Whoa. Okay. Right, we got from Darren Chandler. It says, Hangeland is looking like a permanent starter for me. He reads the game well, can pass, and is calm on the ball. Angus Mainland says that Delaney honestly thinks he's David Beckham, trying to ping the ball from 40 yards. Useless. Hangeland and Dan are our best two centre-backs. And Chris Cummings says that I bet the Titanic could turn faster than Martin Kelly. Him and Delaney were awful tonight. Get Soiree and Dan in for Liverpool. Dave Williams says it partly depends on the system. Flat back four, and I'd have Hangeland over Dan, to be honest. Be nice to see what Pape Soiree can do, though. Alex, you look absolutely incredulous right now.
Go right ahead.
I feel
breathe fire
it's
on that opinion if you want.
Best footballer. You would drop our best player. You would drop our player closest to playing in the England squad.
He's
Dave, please
paid player at the club as well, isn't he?
I'd like to hear from Dave on this.
What was that, sorry?
He's our highest paid player at the club as well, isn't he, Scott?
He'll certainly be up there.
Yeah.
He'll certainly be up there, but...
I mean, that's not a reason to pick someone after all, but there's a reason why he's also paid so much, and that's because he's absolute quality. What are you talking about, man?
A lot of people don't realise how good of a footballer Scott Dan is. I think because of the type of player he is a brutal northern centre-half that will take out anything in his way, but he's a magnificent footballer. I think we spoke to Joe Ledley in the week here on Palace Radio, and he alluded to Scott Dan being the best technical footballer in the whole of the squad. A centre-half, the best footballer in the squad. I think that says a lot, and I think he'll go a very, very long way.
I do completely agree. I'd like to hear more from Dave on that, actually. If you're listening, Dave, do call us 0208 653 5796. I'd love to chat more. Mark Andrews says, I thought Joe Ledley was poor in the middle tonight. Passing poor, too deep, and then punching amazingly drove us on with MacArthur. Matthew Watts says, you've got to love Yannick. After weeks away, he just comes on and instantly produces that bit of magic we needed. And Ryan Wallace says, once he scored, Campbell looked class. Injection of energy and endeavour made the world of difference.
It's a very good point with that. I mean, the energy levels that Campbell exhibited as soon as he scored, they went through the roof. And I would much prefer to have seen him chasing that ball down a lot more than he did.
Do you not think Campbell got better when Shamak left the pitch? When Dwight Gale came on and got closer to him and got tighter to him and closed the space down?
Yeah,
because
it's a good question.
They're both players that can't really play in that sort of holding role themselves. So when they were on together, it gave us a bit more of an attacking impetus. Yeah,
no, I'd agree with that. They could trip over each other and not really know exactly what to do around each other.
They did in the box and
there's
a penalty
possibility.
at one point.
Yeah, that's right. There was that penalty shout for offside, where they did actually run into each other, and everyone saw the flag go up being waved, and the referee's hang a pen. No. No offside. Oh well.
Was that the Shamak one?
Yeah.
There was a little push, actually. We saw the replay. I know you don't have the replays up here. Me and Eamon were laughing, similarly how you are there, thinking you can't have a penalty for being offside. But then there was a little push. And Colaccini on the blind side of the referee on Shamak there. Not sure whether it warranted a penalty, but it was one of those where I think a lot of the fans who could see that push from that corner of the ground perhaps thought there was a penalty in there. But at the time we thought, you can't have a penalty for offside.
As you can often say, you've seen them given.
You can say that, not for offside though.
Not for offside though, not when you're off. Side. Anyway, it was a bit of excitement to an otherwise dull second half before that goal, wasn't it?
Yes. A couple more tweets. Firstly from Raw Strand, good name, says Hangeland's a Norwegian icon and should be behind Dan and Ward, but he'll come in and change any game. He's a top set piece player, I should say. And of course we did see that at Leicester on Saturday. And Paul Bristow says he'd have MacArthur ahead of Jedinak. Although Millet is great at breaking up play, he gives the ball away too much for the Premier League. Daryl.
Controversial comment there, Paul. Give us a call, mate. 0208 653 5796. I'm sure we'd love to debate that, Alex, wouldn't we, with Paul?
I cannot believe what I'm hearing. Why am I sitting here and allowing people to tell me Millet Jedinak and Scott Dan should both be dropped? Lunacy.
So, Paul, give us a call, mate. I mean, you're a regular contributor to Palace Radio. We'd love to get you on the phone. As I say, you know the number 0208 653 5796, because Alex, for one, definitely disagrees with you.
And just one more thing, a positive note to end on from the tweets from Matt Hunt. Says, tonight was one we really had to grind out to get anything from. Huge spirit shown to keep doing the same thing.
I completely agree with that. I don't know about you, Chris. It was a very clinical game, wasn't it? I think there was really the two chances or the two goals kind of thing.
Yeah, we had that goal disallowed for offside, didn't we?
Well, I'd throw in also, of course, Hangeland's header that Krul amazingly tipped round the post.
Yeah. No,
that's about it, really.
It is a game we could have won, but it was a game of very, very few chances and not all that much entertainment, wasn't it, really? But
welcome to mid-table Crystal Palace.
And of course, the other thing in terms of
point on the board, and I will take that after tonight.
And in terms of the Pardew effect, of course, earlier in the season, those were the games against the likes of Aston Villa that we were losing 1-0.
So there we are. If you agree, if you disagree, at the moment we're disagreeing. Give us a call on 0208 653 5796. Marouane Chamakh played with an excellent mask.
He did play with an excellent
Millet Jedinak-esque mask, but he didn't challenge for one header today, rightly or wrongly. What would you do?
He didn't go up for him. Well, I mean, if you're playing the ball on the ground, then you start Jedinak. If you're going to throw it up in the air towards Sanogo and then, maybe expect Chamakh to challenge for the second ball, or indeed, challenge in the air from those long raking balls that we've seen Delaney criticised for. Something's in your mind as a player that your nose is broken and you are wearing a mask, and I would imagine that only the hardiest of men would ignore that, either consciously or otherwise. Anyway, I don't. He's too much of a quality footballer for me to drop him in that whole role. To drop him from that role in front of midfield. I think he links up when we're on form very, very well. But I would. Why have we even bought Sanogo to the club? What? He came on against Leicester and he was great. But if you're going to play Chamakh, start him with someone that's going to run off of his shoulder, or that's going to be there for him to take the touch and find the ball. In Sanogo's positional sense,
I presume you've seen our Palace Radio colleague Jim Daly's video.
Yes.
Sanogo.
Yes.
If you haven't, of course, folks, it's available on YouTube.
And about 200,000 other people have as well. Yeah. It's I
haven't seen it yet, but
it's gone mad.
Anyway, we'll hear from Alan Pardew shortly after this, and we'll also talk more Sanogo. Call us on 0208 653 5796.
Get in touch with us now. Tweet @Palace Radio. Email studio@palaceradio.co.uk. Text 079 100 60 919 or call 020 8653 5796. This is Palace Radio.
Having a party or corporate function? Give Essential Entertainment a call now. We've been tailoring your events to exactly how you want them for the past 30 years with our mobile DJs, fun casinos and portable dance floors. Whether it's a birthday party for a loved one or a big company event, make it both memorable and stress-free with Essential Entertainment's prompt, polite and professional service. For more information, call us 020 84 62 62 6 or visit essentialentertainment.com.
Want to get your brand across to thousands of fellow Palace fans? Sponsor Palace Radio now. Email sales@palaceradio.co.uk.
Want delicious Napoli-style pizzas made fresh from local ingredients in our own wood fire oven at your parties and receptions? Look no further than Pizza Street UK. Find us on Facebook or on Twitter @Pizza Street UK.
Your sound of Selhurst, live from Selhurst Park on palaceradio.co.uk, the Eagles RBS app and Palace Player. This is Palace Radio.
You're on Palace Radio. Your chance to get in touch today. Tweet us @Palace Radio or give us a text. Why not? 079 100 60 919. We're going to hear from the gaffer, Alan Pardew, Chris Humphreys. Give it to us. Come on.
Here's what Pards had to say. He says, I thought we should have won. We started well, but the chances were few and far between. Newcastle only had one shot on target, but scored. We struggled to break them down, but we scored a great goal. It was a really special cross, and we deserved to get something out of the game. We had plenty of options on the bench, and in the end, the bench made a difference. Yannick Bolasie and Dwight Gale came on and upped the tempo for us. It was nice to see my old team and my friends from the club. We took a point, and we should be pretty pleased with that. John Carver's also had his say, of course, the Newcastle interim head coach, whatever the hell they're calling him this week. He says for them it's another game unbeaten. That's 1 win, 3 draws and 2 defeats now, which is not bad in this league. We said before the game we knew we were up against a big physical side and the pitch was quite lively, so we knew it was going to be a bit of a battle. I stuck Pape Cisse in. I was brave to play 2 strikers away from home, but he's a fox in the box, and if he keeps scoring, he has to be in the team. It's a bit strange facing Alan Pardew because I worked for him for 4 years, but once I got off the bus I went into professional mode. After the game he said to me, well done, you deserve the point.
Controversy. There he is down there walking outside of the ground with the rest of the players. He's hit the nail on the head there really, Chris, isn't he?
He has. I mean, I would say it probably did deserve a point, and all in all, did we deserve to win the game from the 2 chances we had? Not really.
I think you would have taken the point. After being 1-0 down at that point, you probably would have taken it, wouldn't you? Was there a slight dig by Pardew there at Newcastle's tactics? Because he said, we struggled to break them down, they've had 1 shot on target, everything that we used to be based on being a sort of a negative side.
He's trying to paint Crystal Palace as the irresistible force, isn't he? Like,
we are Barcelona already. That's what we're doing. Joe Ledley, Iniesta, Jednak Xavi, they're all the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what do you think? Is that a dig?
Why not?
Let's create controversy.
If we are Barcelona, what does that make Martin Kelly?
Yeah, why not call us now? Yeah, absolutely. I've had a text message in actually. Let's go back. Let's go back to my controversial comments about Yaya Sanogo. Ned Moriarty's been back in touch and he says he agrees. Sanogo needs to go. He said go twice.
Sanogo go.
Sanogo needs to go. Sanogo needs to go.
Sanogo is a no-go.
Not the player we need. And I don't want to be a training ground for Arsenal. I don't want to be a player. He doesn't offer enough.
He doesn't.
See, I disagree because I think we would have lost the game at Leicester on Saturday had he not come on.
Yeah, but he's come on straight away and missed a glorious opportunity where he could have passed the ball twice. For me,
and that led to the corner which we scored from.
Glenn Murray's the option. Daryl's jumping up and down because he knew I would say.
He's got there in the end. He's got there in the end.
Glenn Murray is a better option than Yaya Sanogo.
He's more mobile. He's more intelligent. He's got a better range of passing to him. He can bring other people into play a lot better than I think.
He's more miserable. Glenn Murray,
Glenn Murray is just what was it that Owen Garvin said of Glenn Murray? What he does is he turns up, he scores goals, and he goes home, and that's it. That's all he does.
That's all I want.
And that's
I
all
don't
we
want
want.
a smile. I don't want a smile.
Don't need a smile.
I don't
with Glenn
want him
Murray.
to do
No,
it.
no.
If he
He
smiles,
can drop
I
his
feel-
head down, trudge off the way he does, drop back and then run forward, stick his hand up, receive the ball, pick someone out, bang.
Very quickly, I just want to say, Burnley away, okay? The ball's come over the top. When he did that little nudge, how many players, including Yaya Sanogo, would have put his head to that? Glenn Murray knew exactly what was behind him.
One of the
He knew
most
what Gale's
intelligent players I've seen at Palace. The
Yeah.
chest down for
And
Gale
people-
in the Liverpool
and people
game
don't
last season.
realise it
Yeah.
because he hasn't got that extra yard of pace. People don't realise how clever he is. He doesn't need that extra yard of space because he's always that one step ahead.
One
He's
of
like a
my-
Teddy Sheringham. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
He's I'm not saying he's as good as Sheringham. Sheringham went on to win
He's
the European
better.
Cup, play for England. You think he's better, but he's that type of player. Everyone used to say Sheringham's got no pace. He never had any
He
pace.
didn't need
He never
any.
needed any pace. He just had brilliant ability to read the game
Right
a fraction
place,
of a second ahead of
right
anyone
time.
else.
Right place, right time.
I mean, one of my favourite goals that Glenn Murray ever scored was that rapid free kick that Mile Jedinak just put his hand on and just stuck his foot through the ball over the top to the on-running Murray, who just tucked it in at that
Bristol
fine
City at
angle.
home,
Yeah.
was it that, I think?
There was a volley that he's tucked in at such a tight angle, and the intelligence of those two players to pull that off was absolutely fantastic. I love a clever player, and Glenn Murray is one of the most clever at the club.
You've joined Palace Radio on Glenn Murray Appreciation Day with Alex White.
Play him, Pardew.
Play him, yeah. I personally, going back to the text in from Ned, thanks again, Ned, for getting in touch. I would play Glenn Murray ahead of Yaya Sanogo, but that's my opinion.
Now, if we brought him in, is there an agreement that we're going to play him?
I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to say, but there must have been conversations between the Palace people and the Arsenal people that, Arsene Wenger's not going to let him come here to sit on the bench, is
He
he?
can sit on the bench at home, can't
he
he?
can sit on the bench at any other team, can't he? But Pardew's obviously said, look, I need a forward. And everyone said around Christmas time, we need someone to score goals. And then all of a sudden, different players kept chipping in with goals. Campbell's got one again tonight. Gale's been scoring goals. Punchin's got on the score sheet. And perhaps Sanogo isn't the man that we need. He's certainly not the striker that I would have brought into the club. And I know he's not the striker you would have brought in because we've got someone who does that role. And as you said, perhaps better than him in Glenn Murray. Such an intelligent player.
The press conference that when we signed him, Pardew said that, I haven't guaranteed anyone games. He said that I've guaranteed him that he'll play more than he will at Arsenal, but that doesn't mean he's going to start every game here, which...
Murray did sign a contract extension, didn't he?
1 year.
Yeah, you've got to play him. I think in that role, he offers far more than Yaya Sanogo does over, across the board. All right, Sanogo's got the height, and Sanogo has good feet when he's kind of receiving the ball and laying it off. But any other time, if he's got to sort of think, he seems to get trapped under himself, and he doesn't have the feet you need. I think Peter Crouch. Who is it? They say he's got big feet, good feet for a big man, and
He probably has got big feet as well.
Yeah,
hasn't
he's
he,
probably
Peter
got big
Crouch,
feet, but yeah, I don't think he's quite got the quality, and we're not here to bring try and bring the quality out of other people's players. We're a Premier League side now, and we're not a feeder club for anyone that's in the top half of the table or anywhere else for that matter. And Yaya Sanogo seems to be exactly that and very little else.
We've just had a tweet in from Patrick O'Connor. So unfair on Sanogo. You expect him to be good every match? He totally changed the Leicester match. Chris Dixon?
Yeah, he may have totally changed the Leicester match, but it was a match that was looking to be changed, and I don't think that Yaya Sanogo is the only player that could have changed that match.
But he also came on and, like you said, although it did lead to the corner, he still mucked up a chance there and got very lucky. He still had two players to his left and tried to take the shot. A good centre forward for me in the Premier League either takes that chance or plays the ball at the right time. I'm not slating anyone before they've had a go, but for me, he doesn't look interested enough. Does he want to be here? Does he chase down everything? Glenn Murray will. We love Glenn Murray.
The other point about Sanogo as well, you said that he didn't pick the man out. I mean, he gets his head down and he's looking to score,
Murray
which
would have picked him out.
which is a good thing.
I promise you, Murray would have picked him out because he's an intelligent footballer.
But we appreciate your tweet, Patrick, and I think you're right to call us on it.
Yeah.
Perhaps we are being a little bit unfair, but he had impact on the game at Leicester. But as Chris said, someone else, Glenn Murray, could have had the same impact on that game. You know,
more of one.
Yeah, or more of one. So, you know, appreciate your text, Patrick, all the way from New York, but we're not Sonogo fans here at the moment in the Palace Radio studio. Sorry, mate.
But we are happy to be proved wrong if there's a deal in place at the end of the season.
And while we're talking about top quality players, I wanted to mention someone that Chris Dixon mentioned about 5 minutes ago.
Okay, who was that? Before
this was
I went
a player
right off on one.
A Palace fan tweeted that this particular player is now halfway to their testimonial, and this player themselves favourited it. Their name? Owen Garvin.
Yeah.
I'll say that again. Owen Garvin is halfway to a testimonial.
I think we should do a fundraiser where everyone pays the wages for the next 5 years, so Owen Garvin guarantees a testimonial for Crystal Palace.
It's the only way he's going to get a game, to be fair.
Has he really been at the club that long?
Well, he's been out on loan a couple of times.
Yeah, but he was signed by Burley, wasn't he? And
August 2010, so it's coming up for 5 years.
Wow.
Do you remember that midfield partnership?
Andy
Dorman.
Andy Dorman.
You're talking about the irresistible force. That was the immovable object, wasn't it? It was one of the weakest midfields ever. But part of the team, he had a decent season, didn't he? In the promotion season, he created a few goals for your man Glenn Murray. In that, you know, he was around in some of the big games that season. So we should never belittle anyone's contribution to the fantastic club that is Crystal Palace. But a testimonial, perhaps not.
He'll still be holding the tray. He runs like he holds a tray. I didn't realise it.
No. I'll tell you about someone who used to run like they held a tray. Who remembers Stuart Green?
Oh, Stuart Green. We are bringing them all out tonight. Yes. I love it.
Chris, you missed out on Palace Radio Cult Heroes Day last time against Everton. But Stuart Green, was he the one that was related to Peter Taylor in some way? Yeah. And that had nothing to do with the fact that he was in the team. Definitely not.
I don't know. His set piece delivery.
I thought it was alright. Actually, I thought it was alright. Do you want some updates on tonight's game?
Let's talk about Stuart Green.
Let's talk about Stuart Green.
Next feature coming up. 1 hour on Stuart O'Green.
We're just hearing that Scott Dann was a lot better today after, of course, the knock on the head with Wes Morgan on Saturday. But Pardew didn't want to take any chances tonight. Hopefully should be okay on Saturday. Meanwhile, Jedinak possibly not ready to play on Saturday either. Arsenal game more likely for him. I'm hearing this from Mark Ritson of the Croydon Advertiser.
That's a pretty important game to come back on, isn't it?
And it's a big shame to miss him from the Liverpool game, of course, because he played such a role, not so much in the 3-3, but certainly the 3-1 earlier this season. That free kick.
That kind of excites me, though, Jedinak coming back for that game. A game where you're looking for someone to come in and take responsibility. First game back. Get Aaron Ramsey in the stand early doors, whoever it is in his way. Get at him.
And also, it's great that, Jedinak, we'd love to have him back, but it's not like we need him back in the side. We can wait another week for him because, as we said earlier on, Ledley and MacArthur are doing pretty well. It's not like we're desperate to have him back in. And when he went away to the Asia Cup, we feared for our lives, really, didn't we, without him? But we've done brilliantly without him. So it just goes to show how far we've come in a month under Alan Pardew, that we're not that desperate to have him back yet. We can wait.
There we are. The lights are going down on Selhurst Park now. Mile Jedinak not back for next week, but Scott Dann will be. You've been on Palace Radio. You've tweeted us. You've texted us. You've called us.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for your contributions.
You have been on the Glenn Murray Appreciation Show. I don't know if David Earl will be back next week, but if not, it's going to be round 2 of the Glenn Murray Appreciation Show. It has to start on Saturday. Give us a call next week. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks to Chris Dixon.
Not a problem.
Chris Humphreys in the Social Hub. Simon Lewis joined us earlier. And Daryl Murdoch. Great commentary as ever.
Get in touch with us now. Tweet @Palace Radio. Email studio@palaceradio.co.uk. Text 079 100 60 919 or call 020 8653 5796. This is Palace Radio.
Having a party or corporate function? Give Essential Entertainment a call now. We've been tailoring your events to exactly how you want them for the past 30 years with our mobile DJs, fun casinos and portable dance floors. Whether it's a birthday party for a loved one or a big company event, make it both memorable and stress-free with Essential Entertainment's prompt, polite and professional service. For more information, call us 020 84 62 62 6 or visit essentialentertainment.com.
Download all our best interviews now from palaceradio.co.uk or just search for Palace Radio in the iTunes Store and press subscribe.
Want delicious Napoli-style pizzas made fresh from local ingredients in our own wood fire oven at your parties and receptions? Look no further than Pizza Street UK. Find us on Facebook or on Twitter at Pizza Street UK.
Want to get your brand across to thousands of fellow Palace fans? Sponsor Palace Radio now. Email sales@palaceradio.co.uk. Your sound of Selhurst, live from Selhurst Park on palaceradio.co.uk, the Eagles RBS app and Palace Player. This is Palace Radio.